If you're over 60, every breakfast you eat, every sip, every bite can either protect your heart or quietly wear it down. And while most seniors believe they're doing the right thing by avoiding fried foods or cutting back on red meat, what if I told you that some of the most common healthy breakfasts may actually be setting your heart up for failure? As a heart doctor with over 30 years of experience treating older adults, I've seen this pattern far too many times. Patients who believe they're eating clean granola, fruit juice, flavored yogurt, yet still struggle with high blood pressure, fatigue, dizziness, and irregular heart rhythms. They don't realize that some breakfast foods are not just unhelpful, they're silently harmful. This video is going to walk you through the 9 breakfast habits that may be quietly damaging your heart and what you should eat instead to feel energized, steady, and truly protected. The first one might already be sitting on your table right now, and the last one could change the way you approach breakfast forever. Please stay with me. Your next heartbeat may depend on what you learn next. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. White bread and jam. Starting your morning with a dangerous sugar spike. For decades, many of my senior patients have told me the same thing. Doctor, I don't eat anything heavy in the morning, just a slice of toast with a little jam. That's got to be better than bacon and eggs, right? They say it with pride, as if they've made a safe, heart-conscious choice. But the truth is that innocent little breakfast, the white bread, the sweet fruit jam, is one of the most damaging ways to start your day if you're over 60 and trying to protect your heart. Let me explain why clearly and honestly. White bread is made from refined flour, stripped of fiber, stripped of nutrients. What you're left with is essentially sugar in disguise. When you eat a slice of white toast, especially paired with jam, which often contains added sugars, even when it says fruit only, you're flooding your bloodstream with rapid empty carbohydrates. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin races to respond, and then just an hour later, you crash. And here's the problem. If you're over 60, your metabolism doesn't recover like it once did. When your blood sugar spikes and crashes every morning, your body goes into a low-grade inflammatory state. That inflammation quietly damages the inner lining of your arteries, stiffens your blood vessels, and contributes to plaque buildup in your coronary arteries. Your heart has to pump harder. Your blood becomes more insulin resistant. Over time, this seemingly small habit, a slice of white bread with jam, becomes part of a much larger problem. Chronic inflammation, rising cholesterol, rising blood pressure, and ultimately, heart disease. Let me share the story of Mr. Charles Benton, a 72-year-old retired mail carrier from Indiana. Charles was always active, walked every day, never smoked, took his meds. But he came to me after experiencing tightness in his chest during a cold morning walk to the corner store. His blood pressure was higher than usual, and his A1C, a measure of average blood sugar, was creeping up. "I don't eat junk food," he told me, "just toast and jelly with coffee every morning. That's all I ever need." But when we dug deeper, we saw the pattern. Charles had unknowingly created a daily blood sugar roller coaster that was quietly exhausting his cardiovascular system. His insulin response was sluggish. His arteries were under pressure from years of sugar spikes without fiber or fat to slow them down. His morning ritual, one he thought was harmless, was setting the tone for a full day of vascular stress. Once we changed that habit, swapping white toast for sprouted grain bread, replacing sugary jam with almond butter and half a banana, his numbers began to stabilize. Within 3 months, Charles had more energy, fewer palpitations, and better glucose control. "I didn't realize breakfast could hurt me," he said quietly. "It never felt like a threat, and that's exactly the danger. White bread and jam don't feel dangerous. They feel light, familiar, safe. But for an aging heart, they're silent saboteurs. So if you've been starting your day with that nostalgic slice of toast and jelly, I urge you look again. Your heart may be paying the price in ways you can't yet feel. And if something as simple as toast and jam can push your heart toward inflammation. What happens when your healthy cereal is actually packed with hidden sugars and sodium? Let's talk about that next. You might be shocked by what's really inside your breakfast bowl. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now, let's move on to point number 2. 2 instant breakfast cereals. The heart-healthy lie that's hurting seniors every morning. Every time I walk down the breakfast aisle at the grocery store, I feel a quiet frustration. Rows of brightly colored boxes promise heart-healthy, low-fat, whole grain, or cholesterol-lowering. These labels are designed to earn your trust, especially if you're over 60 and doing your best to make responsible food choices. But for many of my senior patients, these cereals aren't helping their hearts. They're hurting them. Let's be honest, the word cereal carries with it a sense of safety. It reminds you of mornings with your children, of quick breakfast before work, or simple routines that feel comforting now that life has slowed down. But in today's food market, the reality is much darker. Most instant breakfast cereals, even the ones labeled whole grain or for heart health, are packed with refined grains, added sugars, artificial flavors, and hidden sodium. A dangerous combination, especially for an aging cardiovascular system. When you pour yourself a bowl of cereal that looks healthy but isn't, here's what's actually happening inside your body. Your blood sugar spikes rapidly because there's little to no fiber to slow the digestion. That spike triggers a surge of insulin. If you're over 60, your body often struggles to manage that insulin response, especially if you're insulin resistant, pre-diabetic, or on certain medications. The result, chronic inflammation, vascular stress, and over time, accelerated plaque buildup in your arteries. But it's not just the sugar. Many instant cereals also contain added sodium, often hidden in the form of flavor enhancers and preservatives. You may not taste it, but your heart feels it. For seniors on blood pressure medications, the extra sodium can quietly raise your pressure again, neutralizing the effect of your meds. You're doing all the right things, but your cereal bowl is working against you. I'll never forget Miss Elaine Carter, a 75-year-old retired librarian from North Carolina. She came into my office frustrated and confused. "Doctor," she said, "I've been walking every day, cut out red meat, I never touch fried food, and I always eat my healthy cereal, but my blood pressure is still high, and I've been feeling so tired lately." Her breakfast, a seemingly innocent bowl of multigrain cereal with skim milk every morning. When we reviewed the label together, the truth was staggering. 19 grams of sugar per serving, 280 milliliters of sodium, and 0 real fiber. Her body was going into metabolic chaos before 9 a.m. every single day. Once Elaine switched to a homemade bowl of steel-cut oats, slow-cooked, unsweetened, topped with chia seeds, walnuts, and a few blueberries, her blood pressure began to drop. Her energy returned. She called me a month later and said, "I never realized that healthy cereal was draining the life out of me." That's the heartbreaking truth. Many seniors are trying so hard and being misled by clever marketing. You deserve better. You deserve to know what's really feeding your heart and what's quietly weakening it. So if your morning starts with a boxed promise of heart health, look twice. Read the label. If it has more than 5 of sugar or sodium per serving, toss it out. Your heart is too valuable to gamble with. But what if the danger isn't just in the cereal itself, but in what you add to it? Let me tell you what's hiding inside your bacon and sausage and why the real threat may be sizzling right next to your toast. 3. Sausages and bacon, the savory breakfast tradition that's slowly clogging your arteries. If there's one scent that evokes memories of Saturday mornings and family gatherings, it's the smell of sizzling bacon or sausage in the kitchen. For many older Americans, these foods are more than just breakfast. They're tradition, comfort, and a reminder of home. But as a physician who has treated aging hearts for over 3 decades, I must tell you these comforting staples are quietly contributing to a crisis inside your body. A crisis you may not feel until it's too late. Bacon and sausage, no matter how crisped or lean they claim to be, are packed with saturated fat, sodium, and dangerous preservatives like nitrates and nitrites. These compounds, especially when consumed regularly, directly damage the lining of your arteries, inflame your cardiovascular system, and raise your risk for high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, hardening of the arteries, and eventually heart failure or stroke. After the age of 60, your arteries naturally become less elastic. Your body doesn't process fats and sodium the way it used to. What your heart could once handle in your 40s now becomes a struggle. Each morning you start your day with processed meats. You're placing your heart under unnecessary stress, forcing it to work harder to pump blood through increasingly narrow vessels, like trying to push water through a garden hose that's slowly filling with cement. Let me tell you about Mr. Howard Kenny, a 78-year-old Vietnam veteran from Arkansas. Howard came to my clinic after experiencing chest discomfort during his morning walks. He was proud of his routine. He walked every day, stayed away from sweets, and never missed a dose of his heart medications. But when I asked him about breakfast, he smiled and said, "Doc, I've had the same thing every morning since I got back from overseas. 3 strips of bacon, 2 eggs, and toast. It's what keeps me going." But what Howard didn't realize was that his harmless 3 strips of bacon were giving him over 600 milligrams of sodium and more than 8 grams of saturated fat before he even finished his coffee. Add that to his age, mild kidney decline, and his use of ACE inhibitors, and he was unknowingly creating the perfect storm for a cardiac event. His lab showed elevated LDL cholesterol and early signs of arterial inflammation. We performed an echocardiogram that revealed mild left ventricular hypertrophy. His heart had begun to thicken from years of pushing against high pressure. It wasn't failing yet, but it was clearly struggling. Together, we rebuilt his breakfast. He switched the bacon for sautéed mushrooms and spinach in olive oil. Instead of greasy sausage, he added avocado slices and 1 boiled egg. 2 months later, Howard came back 8 lb lighter, more energetic, and said, "I miss the smell of bacon, but I don't miss the way I felt after eating it." The truth is, bacon and sausage don't hurt you the way a fall or a cut might. They hurt you quietly day after day through increased inflammation, vessel damage, and hidden strain on your heart and kidneys. That's what makes them so dangerous. They don't feel harmful until they've already done harm. So, if you've been clinging to bacon or sausage for nostalgia, routine, or taste, I understand. But ask yourself, is the momentary comfort worth the long-term cost? And here's the part that may shock you even more. Because it's not just the meat on your plate that's hurting you. What if I told you that your sweet, innocent muffin, the one you think is a light breakfast, is flooding your bloodstream with sugar faster than a donut? Let's talk about the hidden threat behind muffins, pancakes, and syrups. Because what comes next may be the most deceptive danger yet. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Muffins, pancakes, and syrups. The light breakfast that's weighing down your heart. There's something undeniably comforting about a warm muffin, a short stack of pancakes or waffles drizzled with syrup. For many older Americans, these foods bring back memories. Brunches with grandchildren, quiet mornings with a newspaper, a sweet treat to start the day. But for seniors over 60, these seemingly innocent breakfast staples can be quietly setting your heart up for failure. The danger doesn't always come with a warning sign. You eat the muffin, you enjoy the syrup, and you feel fine until you don't. Let me tell you why. Muffins, pancakes, and similar baked goods are often made with refined white flour, added sugars, and trans fats. A deadly combination for the aging heart. Refined flour breaks down quickly into glucose, spiking blood sugar levels almost immediately. When that's combined with syrup or powdered sugar, it delivers a massive sugar load that your body, especially after 60, struggles to process. Why is that such a problem? As we age, our insulin sensitivity naturally declines, meaning our bodies can't lower blood sugar as efficiently. Those big morning sugar spikes trigger inflammation in your blood vessels, damage the lining of your arteries, and increase oxidative stress, which leads to plaque buildup, the silent beginning of heart disease. Even worse, these kinds of breakfasts rarely contain fiber or protein to slow digestion or support healthy cholesterol. Instead, they offer a fast-burning, nutrient-empty rush that fades quickly, leaving you tired, foggy, and unknowingly vulnerable. What many people don't realize is that these sugar crashes don't just affect your energy, they also strain your heart rhythm and blood pressure regulation. You're asking your heart to operate on a roller coaster track every single morning. I remember a patient vividly, Miss Janice Lowell, age 81, a retired music teacher from Illinois. Janice came to me after her daughter noticed she was having more frequent dizzy spells in the late morning. She wasn't diabetic. Her medications were stable, and her lab results had been normal just a few months prior. When we talked through her routine, I found the missing piece. Every morning, Janice enjoyed 1 or 2 store-bought blueberry muffins with her coffee. She thought she was doing well, but each muffin had over 25 grams of sugar and almost no fiber. And because she was eating them on an empty stomach, they were flooding her bloodstream, triggering insulin spikes, and then leading to sharp sugar crashes by mid-morning. That's when the dizziness hit. Her heart rhythm was responding to those crashes like a ship tossed around in a storm. We changed her breakfast. Instead of muffins, she began having half a banana with plain Greek yogurt, a sprinkle of cinnamon, and a small handful of oats. Just a few weeks later, the dizzy spells were gone, and she looked at me during her follow-up and said, "I didn't know something so small could cause such a big problem." That's exactly it. These foods don't look dangerous, they don't taste harmful, but for an aging body they are stealth threats, especially when eaten daily. And let's not forget the syrups. Commercial pancake syrups are often made with high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavors and preservatives, all of which promote liver stress, inflammation, and elevated triglycerides. These are not just empty calories, they are cardiovascular landmines. So if your breakfast looks like a dessert plate, soft, sweet, and sticky, it's time to stop and ask, is this truly nourishing your heart, or is it slowly wearing it down? Because if a muffin and a drizzle of syrup can send your blood sugar and heart rate into chaos, what do you think happens when you reach for that healthy glass of juice only to discover it has more sugar than a soda? Let's talk about fruit juices next. You might be shocked by what's hiding in that cheerful morning glass. 5 bottled fruit juices, the healthy morning drink that's spiking your blood sugar and silently straining your heart. There's something comforting about starting your day with a glass of orange juice. For generations, it's been the image of health, a bright, cheerful drink that says, "I'm doing something good for myself." But for seniors over 60, that innocent-looking glass of juice may be doing more harm than good, especially to your heart. Here's the hard truth. Most bottled fruit juices, even the ones labeled 100% juice or no sugar added, are loaded with natural sugars and stripped of the fiber that keeps those sugars in check. Without fiber, the sugar from fruit is absorbed into your bloodstream almost instantly. And for someone over 60, whose body metabolizes sugar more slowly, that means blood sugar spikes, inflammation, and a stressed-out cardiovascular system before your day has even begun. When your blood sugar spikes suddenly, it causes your pancreas to release a large amount of insulin. For seniors who may already be insulin resistant or managing pre-diabetes, this surge can set off a dangerous chain of events: unstable energy, sharp crashes, cravings, and worse, damage to the lining of your arteries. Over time, this contributes to the very things you're likely trying to prevent: high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, and heart rhythm problems. I treated Mrs. Gloria Martinez, a 74-year-old retired school counselor from San Diego who had been experiencing mild chest tightness and fatigue. Her EKG and blood work didn't show anything alarming, but when I asked about her morning routine, she smiled and said, "Every day I start with a big glass of orange juice. I don't drink soda, and I thought this was the healthy option." What she didn't know was that her 12-oz glass of orange juice contained over 30 grams of sugar, more than what's found in a can of Coca-Cola. And because she drank it on an empty stomach, it spiked her blood sugar within minutes, causing her heart rate to elevate and her blood vessels to constrict. We ran a 24-hour heart monitor, and found that she had mild tachycardia episodes 30 minutes after drinking her juice every single day. I explained to her that fruit in its whole form is healthy because of the fiber and slower sugar absorption. But juice, especially when processed and bottled, behaves more like a liquid sugar bomb, rapidly overwhelming the system. Gloria was stunned. "I've been trying so hard to avoid junk food," she told me, "but I never imagined my orange juice was hurting my heart." We replaced her juice with a full orange, eaten alongside a handful of nuts or a boiled egg to stabilize her blood sugar. The results were remarkable. Her energy improved, the chest tightness has stopped, and she no longer had those rapid heart rate spikes in the morning. That's what I want you to understand. Fruit juice is not the same as fruit. Not for a body over 60. What may have been harmless or even beneficial in your 30s or 40s is now putting unnecessary strain on your heart, blood vessels, and metabolism. And it's not just orange juice. Apple juice, grape juice, even the so-called green juice blends. Many of them are concentrated sources of sugar that your aging heart cannot process the same way it used to. If you're still sipping juice each morning thinking it's the healthier choice, I urge you to reconsider. Your heart deserves better. Try a whole piece of fruit with some protein or healthy fat. It'll nourish your body without spiking your system. Because if juice can act like soda in disguise, what happens when your morning coffee comes with sugar, artificial flavoring, and whipped cream on top? Let's uncover the shocking truth about flavored coffee drinks next, and why they may be quietly undoing all your efforts to protect your heart. 6. Flavored coffee drinks. The hidden sugar bomb that's waking up your heart the wrong way. For many older Americans, morning doesn't start without coffee. It's a ritual, a comfort, a small moment of joy. And there's nothing wrong with coffee itself. When it's simple and black, it can even be heart healthy. But over the years, our culture has transformed coffee into something else entirely. A dessert in disguise. Flavored coffee drinks, those frothy, sweet, colorful concoctions you find at cafes or make with flavored creamers at home, may feel like a harmless indulgence. But for a heart that's aged beyond 60, they are a dangerous blend of sugar, saturated fats, and stimulants that silently stress your cardiovascular system before the sun has even risen. Here's why. Many popular coffee drinks, such as flavored lattes, fraps, or even just a cup of home brew with flavored creamer, can contain anywhere from 25 to 50 grams of sugar in a single serving. That's more sugar than a donut, and the effects on the aging body are immediate and severe. When that much sugar enters your bloodstream, especially in a liquid form, it causes a rapid insulin spike followed by a crash that leaves you tired, anxious, and craving more sugar later in the day. For seniors whose insulin response is already slower and less efficient, this constant cycling can lead to dangerous inflammation inside the blood vessels, a rise in triglycerides, and eventually contribute to plaque buildup in the arteries, one of the leading causes of heart attacks and strokes. But that's not the only concern. These drinks also combine sugar with caffeine, which for someone in their 30s this may cause jitters. For someone in their 60s, 70s, or beyond, it can lead to palpitations, arrhythmias, or even cardiac distress, especially if you're already on blood pressure medications or taking beta blockers. One of my longtime patients, Mr. Leonard Hayes, a 76-year-old retired accountant from New Jersey, experienced this firsthand. Leonard was proud of how he kept his heart healthy. He walked every day, took his medications religiously, and avoided fast food. But he had one habit he considered his treat. Every morning, he drove to the coffee shop and ordered a vanilla latte with whipped cream. He never imagined that this small joy was slowly harming his heart. When Leonard came to see me for fatigue and an irregular pulse, we ran a Holter monitor and discovered frequent premature atrial contractions, early beats in the upper chambers of the heart. Not dangerous in the short term, but a sign that his heart was under stress. His blood pressure was also higher than usual in the mornings. When I asked about caffeine or sugar, he hesitated, then admitted his daily coffee habit. We reviewed the nutrition facts. 42 grams of sugar and 300 calories all before breakfast. The caffeine combined with sugar was overstimulating his heart, and the sugar was increasing arterial inflammation. Once he switched to black coffee with a splash of almond milk, the arrhythmia episodes decreased significantly and his blood pressure returned to baseline. He looked at me during a follow-up and said, "I thought it was just coffee. I didn't know it was sabotaging my heart." That's the terrifying part. It doesn't feel like sabotage. It feels comforting, familiar, even festive. But inside your body, these drinks are setting off a chain reaction of stress and inflammation, the very things your aging heart cannot afford. So if your morning coffee looks more like dessert than a beverage, creamy, whipped, flavored or sweetened, it's time to take a hard look at what it's doing to your body. You don't need to give up coffee, but you do need to stop drinking the kind that puts your heart at risk. And if you think this is the last breakfast trap to worry about, think again. Because there's one more common health food that's tricking seniors across America. It sits on your shelf. It looks wholesome, but it's packing more sugar and sodium than you realize. Let's talk about granola and dried fruit next, and why this crunchy combo may be the sneakiest danger of all. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now, let's keep going with point number 7. 7. Granola and dried fruit. The crunchy health food that's overloading your heart with sugar and salt. For many older adults, a small bowl of granola topped with raisins or dried cranberries feels like the perfect healthy breakfast. It's light, crunchy, sweet, but not too sweet, and gives the impression of being natural and nourishing. That's why so many seniors tell me proudly, "Doctor, I don't eat pastries or fast food. I start my day with a handful of granola and some fruit." But here's what most of them don't realize. Granola and dried fruit are some of the most deceptive health foods on the shelf. And for a heart over 60, they can become a quiet but constant threat. Let's break it down. Store-bought granola often contains added sugars, saturated fats, and even sodium. Ingredients used to improve flavor and extend shelf life. A single serving, which is usually much smaller than what most people pour, can easily contain 15 to 25 grams of sugar and 200 plus calories before you even add milk or yogurt. What looks like a modest heart breakfast can quickly turn into a dried sugar bomb. Unlike fresh fruit, which contains water and fiber that help slow sugar absorption, dried fruit is concentrated in natural sugars and often coated with added sweeteners or preservatives like sulfur dioxide, a chemical that can irritate sensitive lungs and digestive systems in older adults. When you combine granola and dried fruit, you're giving your body a quick hit of glucose without the fiber, protein, or fat needed to buffer it. For someone over 60, this sudden sugar spike causes insulin to flood your bloodstream, increasing inflammation, oxidative stress, and wear and tear on your arteries. And if you're living with prediabetes, metabolic syndrome, or are on blood pressure or cholesterol medication, this effect becomes amplified, placing extra burden on an already vulnerable cardiovascular system. I'll never forget Mrs. Lorraine Becker, age 79, a retired nurse from Iowa, who came to my clinic complaining of sudden energy crashes around mid-morning. She wasn't diabetic, stayed active, and made healthy food choices. But something didn't add up. Her blood pressure had crept higher despite her medication. Her LDL cholesterol was rising. She was gaining weight despite eating small portions. When we reviewed her diet, I found it. Every morning Lorraine had a bowl of granola with dried cranberries and a splash of almond milk. "It's better than eggs and bacon," she told me, but we looked at the label together. 18 g of sugar per serving in the granola alone, and another 14 grams from the cranberries. That's 32 grams of sugar, more than a glazed donut. Her breakfast, which she believed was helping her, was actually spiking her insulin, raising her triglycerides, and contributing to vascular inflammation. I explained how, as we age, even natural sugars must be managed carefully. Lorraine was shocked. "I thought I was doing everything right," she said quietly. "No one ever told me sugar could hide in things like this. We made a change." She swapped the granola for plain, unsweetened oats with a few slices of banana and chopped walnuts. The results? Within 6 weeks, her blood pressure stabilized, her cholesterol improved, and she no longer felt foggy or exhausted by 10 a.m. That's the truth no one talks about. Even health food can harm your heart if you don't understand what's really in it. Granola and dried fruit may look wholesome, but inside, they're often as sugary and dense as the desserts we try so hard to avoid. So before you reach for that crunchy mix in the morning, take a moment, turn the bag around, look at the sugar, sodium, and serving size. Your heart deserves better. And it's never too late to make a smarter choice. And if granola can hide sugar under the label of health, what about yogurt? What if the thing you believe is helping your gut is actually spiking your insulin and silently undoing your medication? Let's talk about flavored yogurts next and why they may be one of the most dangerous healthy breakfast for seniors. 8. Flavored yogurt, the gut-friendly breakfast that's quietly spiking your blood sugar. Yogurt has long been seen as a health hero, a gentle, creamy comfort food that promotes digestion, strengthens bones, and supports a healthy gut. It's one of the most common breakfast choices for older adults who are trying to eat light and balanced. But if the yogurt you're eating is flavored, vanilla, strawberry, blueberry, honey, you may be starting your day with more sugar than a candy bar. And for seniors over 60, that's a dangerous game to play with your heart. Flavored yogurts are often highly processed, containing added sugars, artificial flavors, preservatives, and sweetened fruit purees. The problem is not the yogurt itself, it's what's been added to it. A small 6 container of flavored yogurt can contain 18 to 25 grams of sugar. That's 5 to 6 teaspoons before you even get to your toast or fruit. As we age,
Why does this matter
our bodies
so much
become
for your
less
heart?
efficient at managing sudden glucose surges. The pancreas may produce insulin more slowly. Cells may be more resistant to that insulin. So when you flood your body with hidden sugars, especially first thing in the morning, it causes rapid spikes in blood sugar, followed by crashes leading to inflammation, erratic energy, and increased demand on your cardiovascular system. These repeated glucose swings wear down the lining of your blood vessels, contributing to atherosclerosis, the narrowing and hardening of arteries that increases the risk for heart attack, stroke, and chronic heart failure. Flavored yogurts also often contain very little actual fiber or protein, meaning they do little to keep you full or stabilize your blood sugar. I think of Ms. Carol Jennings, a 72-year-old widow and former nurse from Oregon. She came to me complaining of fatigue, light-headedness, and occasional heart palpitations by mid-morning. She wasn't eating poorly, at least not by modern standards. In fact, she proudly told me she had cut out all the heavy stuff and replaced it with yogurt, fruit, and tea. But as we reviewed her routine more closely, I realized the issue. Every day, Carol had a cup of strawberry-flavored yogurt with sliced bananas on top. That single breakfast item added up to nearly 40 grams of sugar without her even realizing it. Her blood sugar was peaking after breakfast, then crashing by 10:30 a.m., causing her fatigue, irregular pulse, and feelings of anxiety. We made a simple change. She switched to plain Greek yogurt, added her own fresh berries, and included a sprinkle of ground flaxseed for fiber and heart-friendly omega-3s. Within a few weeks, her energy returned. Her blood pressure stabilized, and her palpitations disappeared. I thought yogurt was the healthiest thing I could eat, she told me. No one told me how sneaky it could be. That's the hidden danger, especially for seniors. You think you're doing everything right, but food labels lie. Sugar hides behind words like fruit blend, light, or even organic. But your heart doesn't care what the label says. It only responds to what's really inside. So, if yogurt is part of your morning routine, don't give it up. But choose wisely. Go for unsweetened full-fat or low-fat plain yogurt, and sweeten it naturally with a handful of berries or cinnamon. Add nuts or seeds to help regulate your blood sugar and support your heart. Because even something as simple as breakfast can either protect your heart or slowly weaken it. And speaking of simple, what if skipping breakfast altogether, the thing some people do to lose weight, is actually one of the most dangerous habits for your aging heart? Let's talk about Why not eating at all might be doing more damage than you ever expected. 9. Skipping breakfast. The nothing is better myth that's slowly weakening your heart. For many older adults, skipping breakfast feels like a small sacrifice. You're not hungry in the morning, or maybe you're trying to lose a few pounds. You sip your coffee, maybe take your meds, and figure you'll eat something later. But what seems like a harmless habit, or even a healthy one, is in fact one of the most dangerous things you can do to your heart after 60. I want to say this as clearly as possible. Your heart does not like to be ignored in the morning. When you skip breakfast, your body doesn't just quietly wait. It activates your stress response system, releasing cortisol and adrenaline to keep your blood sugar
That might have
up
worked
and your
well in
energy
your
going.
30s
and 40s. But after 60, your cardiovascular system is less flexible, more vulnerable, and already carrying the weight of a lifetime of stress. This hormonal surge increases blood pressure, tightens your blood vessels, and places your heart in a prolonged state of tension before you've even begun your day. But it doesn't stop there. Without food, your medications, especially for blood pressure, diabetes, or heart rhythm, may absorb too quickly or unevenly, causing dizziness, fainting, or dangerous blood sugar crashes. Many of my patients report feeling foggy, weak, or lightheaded in the late morning. Often they don't realize that it's because they took their meds without food and never gave their heart the fuel it needed. I'll never forget Mr. Samuel Price, age 82, a retired mechanic from Ohio. He came to me after a fall in his driveway. He hadn't lost consciousness, but said he felt dizzy, off balance, and just kind of blanked out for a second. His daughter insisted he get checked. When we reviewed his day, I found a troubling pattern. Sam took his medications at 7 a.m. with black coffee and didn't eat anything until noon. I've been skipping breakfast since I retired, he told me, felt like I didn't need it. But Sam was on a beta blocker, a statin, and a diuretic. Taking those meds on an empty stomach spiked his cortisol, dropped his blood pressure, and left him dangerously unsteady. His heart rate was lower than it should be. His glucose had dipped below normal, and his sodium levels were borderline. That fall in the driveway wasn't an accident. It was his body asking for help. We made a simple change. A small balanced breakfast, half a slice of whole grain toast, 1 egg, a few slices of avocado. He started taking his medication with food, and the dizziness stopped completely. I never thought doing nothing could be doing damage, he said, but it was. Skipping breakfast puts your heart in a state of metabolic stress, and when your body is older, your arteries stiffer, your insulin response slower, your energy less forgiving. That stress isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. So if you've been telling yourself, I'm fine without food in the morning, I ask you to reconsider. Your heart is working every second to keep you alive. It deserves fuel, not fasting. And here's the good news. Breakfast doesn't have to be big, complicated, or fancy, but it needs to be intentional, because your first meal sets the tone for your entire cardiovascular day. Now that you've seen which breakfast can damage your heart silently, you may be wondering, so, what should seniors eat in the morning to truly protect and nourish their hearts? Let's explore the 10 best breakfast choices for seniors next. Meals that work with your body, not against it, to help you live stronger, longer, and with more peace of mind. 10. So, what should seniors eat for breakfast? The heart-protective choices that fuel healing after 60. After hearing about all the common breakfast foods that can quietly harm your heart, it's natural to feel a bit overwhelmed. You might be thinking, well then what's left? What can I eat that won't put my health at risk? That's exactly the right question, because the truth is, after age 60, your body isn't just eating to stay full. It's eating to stay alive. Every meal, especially the first one of the day, is an opportunity to either burden or heal your heart. And when you choose the right foods, even small changes can create a powerful ripple effect in your health, lowering inflammation, balancing blood sugar, supporting blood pressure, and giving your heart the nutrients it so desperately needs to keep beating strong. Let me tell you about Mrs. Ruby Thomas, an 84-year-old retired midwife from Georgia who came to me wanting to feel lighter, she wasn't sick and in control but again. She said she had been dragging in the mornings. Her blood pressure was creeping up, her energy down, and she feared becoming dependent on more medication. What struck me most was her determination. "I just want to stay ahead of it," she said. So we started with her breakfast. We built her a simple plan: real food, no sugar bombs, no processed carbs. We started with a warm bowl of steel-cut oats, not the instant kind. She topped it with a spoon of chia seeds for omega-3s and a few blueberries. Just enough sweetness, but packed with antioxidants. Twice a week she swapped the oats for a boiled egg and half an avocado on whole-grain toast, a heart-healthy fat and protein combination that stabilized her blood sugar for hours. On the weekends, she enjoyed a small bowl of plain Greek yogurt with cinnamon and crushed walnuts. These aren't fad foods. These are slow, gentle, healing choices that respect what your body needs now, not what it tolerated 30 years ago. Ruby told me within 3 weeks her blood pressure was down. Her dizziness stopped, and for the first time in years, she said, "I don't feel like I'm chasing energy. I feel steady. That's what I want for you." If you're over 60, here are breakfast staples that actively protect your heart. Oats, preferably steel-cut or rolled unsweetened, high in soluble fiber that lowers LDL cholesterol. Avocados provide heart-healthy monounsaturated fats and potassium. Eggs, boiled or poached, rich in protein and nutrients, especially when not fried or paired with bacon. Greek yogurt, plain, offers probiotics, calcium and protein without added sugar. Berries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, rich in antioxidants that reduce arterial inflammation. Nuts and seeds, almonds, walnuts, chia or flax seeds, support healthy blood vessels. Cooked vegetables, spinach, zucchini or carrots sautéed lightly in olive oil, can make a hearty, savory breakfast. Whole grain toast or sprouted bread provides fiber and complex carbs that keep blood sugar stable. Olive oil, a better fat for sautéing than butter or margarine with proven heart benefits. These foods do something important. They work with your medications, not against them. They support healthy blood flow, prevent sudden sugar crashes, and lower your inflammatory burden, a crucial factor in avoiding heart failure, stroke, and cognitive decline. And the best part, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Small, steady habits build a strong, resilient heart over time. So, if you've been skipping breakfast or relying on toast and jam, I encourage you, start fresh tomorrow. Even a single better choice can change the trajectory of your health. You have more control than you think, and it starts on your plate. But now that we've explored what to eat and what to avoid, there's still one final piece of wisdom I want to leave you with. It's not about food, it's about mindset. Because what you believe about aging, your body, and your future health may be even more powerful than what you eat. Let's talk about that next, and why your next heartbeat is still a second chance. Final reflection. Your heart still has time, and so do you. If you've made it this far, I want to tell you something that too few seniors ever hear. You are not too late. No matter your age, 60, 70, 80, or even beyond, your heart still has time to heal, to strengthen, and to carry you forward. But the choices you make starting today will determine how well it can do that. Your heart is not invincible, but it is faithful. It's been beating quietly inside your chest since the day you were born, without applause, without complaint. It has endured your grief, your stress, your sleepless nights. It has adapted to surgeries, medications, loss, love, and every mile you've walked on this earth. But now more than ever, it's asking for your attention. And here's the truth we can no longer ignore. After 60, your body changes. The foods that once energized you might now exhaust you. The habits that felt harmless may now silently harm your arteries, your rhythm, your blood pressure. You no longer have the biological cushion you once had in your youth. Your digestion is slower, your insulin response is weaker, your kidneys, liver, and blood vessels have weathered decades of work. And yet the most dangerous thing isn't what's on your plate. It's the belief that I'm too old to change. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have sat across from thousands of patients, some who waited until their second heart attack to make a change. others who transformed their lives after their very first warning sign. I've seen 82-year-olds reverse prediabetes. I've seen 70-year-olds cut their blood pressure medications in half just by adjusting breakfast. I've seen widowed grandmothers take control of their food, not out of fear, but out of love for the life they still wanted to live. You do not need a perfect body. You just need a willing heart. Yes, the science is clear. Poor breakfast habits lead to increased inflammation, elevated blood sugar, blood pressure instability, and even cognitive decline. And yes, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, especially when so many foods labeled healthy turn out to be harmful. But the solution isn't complicated. It's not about strict diets or counting calories. It's about paying attention to your ingredients, to your portion sizes, to how your body feels after a meal. It's about consistency, not intensity. It's about honoring your body as it is now, not as it was decades ago. So if your morning routine has included white toast, sugary cereal, processed meats, or flavored yogurt, don't blame yourself. You didn't fail. You were misled by marketing, by culture, by habits passed down that never considered the science of aging. But now you know, and knowledge is power, especially at this stage of life. Because what you choose to eat tomorrow morning might not feel dramatic, but over weeks and months, those quiet choices can lower your blood pressure, reduce your risk of stroke, protect your memory, and give you more strength for the moments that matter. Walking to the mailbox, playing with your grandkids, laughing at the dinner table, or simply waking up feeling like yourself again. You deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to feel steady, clear, and capable, not because you're chasing youth, but because you're respecting the life you've worked so hard to build. So, here's my final message to you. Your next heartbeat is a gift. Your next meal is a chance. Your next decision can either strain your heart or serve it. Choose to serve it. You are not done. Your story is not over. And your heart, if you care for it, still has so much left to give. And if you'd like support along the way, meal ideas, daily routines, or just encouragement from someone who's walked this road with thousands of seniors just like you, I'll be right here. Because we're not just talking about food, we're talking about the rest of your life. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.